Now, before I start to sketch a new car or whatever it is I'm trying to sketch, I always try to go back to look for some inspiration. And I do that by looking through my old sketches, which I'm doing right here. And it kind of gives me, you know, the initial push to get started with something new. And it's always good to see like what you did the last couple of sketches, so you can kind of maybe continue on that path, or you want to try something else, or blah blah blah. But in this case, I just wanted to look back at the old sketches. My big pen wouldn't work because it's been too long. It's been over 24 hours since I sketched with it, so it's kind of slow to get started there. But I found this little spot at the bottom of this paper, and I can't leave. Yeah, you know, you can't waste trees. They're cutting down trees every day now to make paper for us, and we gotta make use of the paper. So I try to make use of all the papers that I'm sketching on. So I found some area at the bottom of this sketch paper that I just wanted to fill up with a quick warm-up sketch, and that's what I'm doing right here. Just adding some, I think I'm just going to be using one marker on this. It's actually 2 markers if you count the black, but very, very simple. Trying to just get some sketches and lines down to get my mind going before jumping in on the actual car that I will be sketching in this video, which I think you know what it is already by from just reading the title, but it's coming up right now. But what I wanted to say with this intro is that don't take it too seriously, just get started with sketching. When you get started, when you put some lines down, everything just kind of flows from there. So after this warm-up sketch here, I kind of wanted to sketch something else and couldn't really think of something to sketch until I saw this comment from Antonio De La Rosa. Make a video sketching a 71 Plymouth Duster. It would be a great video. And guess what? I think so too. So Plymouth to me is kind of this underdog when it comes to muscle cars. I don't know why, maybe it's just me, but just listen to this Duster first of all. Listen how beautiful it sounds. What a beast! These are very beautiful cars to me. They're not super big and bulky like all other muscle cars. They're kind of smaller and nimble, the Plymouth Duster and of course the GTX. So it's a good suggestion. So what do we need to do when we want to start sketching a car like this? Well, first of all, you got to find a good reference picture. Just Google it, I guess, and just find any angle or whatever picture you like, and then from there you just start sketching it. So what I like to do is to start with the wheelbase always, and I don't measure anything. I don't do any of that. I just eyeball the wheelbase from the image and then just try to put it down on paper, and then if it happens to be wrong, I just adjust later on in the sketch. But in this case, it actually happens to be pretty decent from the start, so I didn't have to make a lot of adjustments for this sketch, which is great. Even if you have to make adjustments as you go, you're gonna cover it with markers, so it really doesn't. And here's Rosie, obviously popping up there and wanting to learn from the master on how to sketch. Anyway, if you need to make adjustments as you go with the big pen, it doesn't matter, because you're probably, if you're sketching like me, you're probably gonna cover it up with markers as you go later on, so you won't even notice the mistakes that you made early on if you sketch loose enough. I also got a question: why don't I use pencil instead of pens, instead of the big pen? Because then I can erase and go back and do all of that stuff. I don't have to cover it up with a marker. I just like to live on the edge, I guess. No, the reason I'm using the big pen is just simplicity. I don't want to have that safety net of, if I make a mistake, I can always go back and erase it. I just want to learn to adjust as I go, and I've been doing that ever. I don't think I've used a pencil in 15 years or something like that. I just prefer to use the big pen and kind of figure it out as I go. If I make mistakes, as I said, I have to think of ways to use other tools, in this case markers, to fix that mistake. And in doing that, I always feel like I learn something new, if that makes sense. If I just were to erase it, I don't really learn anything. I just adjust something in the simplest way. But if I have to come up with solutions to fix the issue by not erasing, that way I'm gonna learn. I feel like I'm learning something new every time I have to do that. So that's the reason why I'm using the big pen. And I just love how it feels, in the hand, and how the lines work and all of that. So yeah, that's about it about that. What I'm doing right now is just adding some black. As you know, I like to have both spectrum, but the full spectrum of black and white in pretty much all of my sketches. Why? The reason for that is because it's gonna make the whole sketch just pop a lot more. It's just gonna make it pop. And by pop, I mean it's gonna look like it's almost coming out of the paper. The more contrast you have, the more of a crisp effect you get in your sketches. If you only use, for example, one hardness of pencil, it gets kind of watered down, if that's a word. It looks kind of it looks weak if you don't have any black and full white in there. So that's why I love doing this. I don't usually start with black, but in this case I just had so many black areas that I knew were going to be black, so I just started by doing that. And you're gonna see later on in this sketch, I had some issues with the markers on the side when I started with the blue. I wanted to make some sort of reflection in there, and it just screwed up the whole sketch. And that's one of those moments where I had to kind of figure out how to move ahead from that mistake. And what I did was I took the marker that I used for that experimental reflection, and I just used it all over the side instead of on just one tiny piece of the side, which you're gonna see later on. I think that's all I wanted to say about this sketch. I'm just gonna let it roll here, and you can see how it moves on, and until it's finished. It took me about an hour, I would say, to do this sketch. And just speed it up now for the purpose of not making this video too long. Actually, an hour and 20 minutes maybe. I didn't stress with it. My phone is like a 6 gig file, which was the biggest file I've ever transferred to my computer from the phone. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Try it out yourself. Just take a photo from the interwebs and just try to copy it in your own style. And that's how you're gonna learn how to do all of this. If I look back, if I were to look at this sketch 10 years ago, not to say that I'm 100% happy with it. It's not a perfect sketch. But if I were to look at this sketch 10 years ago as a student, I would say, you know, I would never think that I would be able to sketch like this with markers, because I used to have such a weird relationships to markers. Like, I felt like as soon as I picked them up and just put something down, they would ruin everything that I've sketched previously in that sketch. But now I feel pretty confident with markers. Every time I start a new sketch, you know, I always have these thoughts that, how am I gonna sketch this? Or this specific reflection? Or how am I gonna do this? But then when I get to that part of the sketch, I don't know, everything just seems to work out. And I think that all has to do with the amount of sketches that's been done over the years, that I've done over the years. The more you do, the more you know. It's a very wise saying. Just do more and you'll learn faster. Actually, I might stick around until this issue here is popping up. It's gonna happen right about now. So I wanted to put some let's see. I think I just picked the wrong marker. Yeah, right here. Now I realized, holy crap, this is not the color that I wanted. And now I'm panicking right here. You might not tell, but in my head I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna fix this? Blah 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 blah. It's gonna make a mess. It ruined the whole sketch. I can't upload this video and all of that nonsense. But it just worked out. You know, you just have to figure out ways to fix it. Just take a sip of your coffee, relax, and boom, look at that. We just fill out the whole area with that marker and just make it look like we know what we're doing. Everybody's happy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this sketch. If you like this kind of videos, don't forget to like and obviously subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. I'm the Sketch Monkey, and I will see you in the next one. So don't go anywhere, just finish, just look at the end results. Otherwise the whole, you know, it wouldn't make sense to watch this far and then not look all the way to the, or check out the final result. And don't fast forward, that's just rude. Alright, see you next time, take it easy.